Picture this. You're descending into the ocean, slowly sinking past the warm, sunlit waters where dolphins play and colorful reef fish dart between corals. The light is fading now, turning from brilliant turquoise to deep indigo. At 200 meters down, the water around you has become a perpetual twilight. At 600 meters, it's completely black, and you're only just beginning your journey into the abyss. Here's the thing that's going to sound absolutely wild. We've explored more of the surface of Mars than we have of our own ocean floor. Less than 5% of the deep sea has been properly investigated. But from what we have seen down there, one pattern emerges with crystal clarity. The deeper you go, the more terrifying the creatures become. And I'm not just talking about, oh, that's kind of ugly, terrifying. I'm talking about nightmare fuel that looks like it was designed by a horror film director with a PhD in making people deeply uncomfortable. But here's what's even more fascinating than the creatures themselves. There are actual scientifically explainable reasons why deep sea animals look the way they do. Evolution isn't creating monsters for fun. Every bizarre feature, every nightmare-inducing adaptation, every tooth and light organ and transparent skull exists for a very specific reason. The deep sea doesn't just randomly make things scary. It sculpts life into these forms because down there, in the most extreme environment on Earth, looking terrifying is often the same thing as being perfectly adapted. So let's descend into the darkness together and figure out exactly why. The ocean's depths are populated by creatures that look like they crawled out of our worst dreams. The journey into terror begins at around 200 meters below the surface, right at the edge of where sunlight can penetrate. This zone is called the twilight zone, or more officially, the mesopelagic zone, and it extends down to about 1,000 meters. The water pressure here is already 20 times greater than at the surface. The temperature has dropped significantly, and the light is barely there at all. Just the faintest glimmers filtering down from above, growing dimmer with every meter you descend. This is where we start seeing our first properly weird fish, and they're giving us a preview of what's to come. Take the hatchet fish, for example. This thing looks like someone took a regular fish and compressed it vertically until it became this thin, silvery blade with bulging, upward-facing eyes. Its body is so flat and reflective that when you look at it from below, it essentially becomes invisible against the dim light filtering from above. That's not an accident. That's camouflage perfected over millions of years. When your entire world is defined by the faintest gradients of light and dark, looking like nothing at all is your best defense. But here's where it gets interesting. The hatchet fish doesn't just rely on being shiny. It has bioluminescent organs called photophores running along its belly. These organs produce light that precisely matches the color and intensity of the downwelling light from above. It's called counter-illumination, and it's basically the deep sea equivalent of active camouflage. The fish is constantly adjusting its glow to match the background light, erasing its own shadow. Predators looking up from below see nothing. Just the same dim blue glow they'd see if the fish wasn't there at all. This is our first major lesson about why deep sea creatures look the way they do. When you live in a world of near darkness, vision becomes both incredibly important and incredibly strange. The hatchet fish's huge, tubular eyes aren't just big, they're specially adapted to collect every possible photon in an environment where light is the ultimate luxury. And this obsession with detecting the faintest light sources is going to shape the appearance of almost everything we encounter as we go deeper. Now let's drop down past the twilight zone into the midnight zone, the bathypelagic zone, extending from 1,000 to 4,000 meters deep. This is where things get properly horrifying. The pressure here is 100 times greater than at the surface. That means every square inch of your body would be experiencing over 1,400 pounds of crushing force. The temperature hovers just above freezing, and most importantly, there's absolutely zero sunlight. None, not even the faintest glimmer. The only light down here is the light that creatures make themselves. Welcome to the realm of the anglerfish. If you've ever seen a picture of an anglerfish, you know what I'm talking about. This is a fish that looks like it was assembled from spare nightmare parts. A massive head dominated by a jaw full of translucent needle-like teeth. A body that seems too small for that head, dark and lumpy and wrong. And dangling from the top of its skull, a modified dorsal fin spine that's been converted into a bioluminescent lure. A glowing fishing rod designed to attract prey in the absolute darkness. The female anglerfish can grow to be the size of a basketball, lurking motionless in the black water, wiggling that glowing lure and waiting for something to investigate. When a curious fish or squid gets close enough, bam! Those hinged jaws snap shut with terrifying speed. The teeth, angled backward like a nightmare trap, make escape impossible. The anglerfish's stomach can expand to accommodate prey up to twice its own size. It's basically a waiting mouth attached to an expandable bag. But here's the really disturbing part, and I'm not making this up. The male anglerfish is a parasite. He's absolutely tiny compared to the female, sometimes 100 times smaller. When he finds a female, he latches onto her body with his teeth and slowly fuses with her, his body dissolving until he's nothing but a pair of gonads attached to her bloodstream, providing sperm whenever she needs it. Some females have been found with multiple males fused to them, like grotesque living ornaments. It's one of the most bizarre reproductive strategies in the entire animal kingdom, and it exists because in the vast darkness of the deep sea, finding a mate is so incredibly difficult that when you do find one, you literally become part of them forever. This brings us to our second major lesson. Extreme environments demand extreme solutions. The deep sea isn't just dark, it's the most sparsely populated habitat on Earth. Food is scarce, mates are rare, energy is precious. Every adaptation we see, no matter how disturbing, is solving a very specific problem in this alien world. The viperfish is another perfect example of this principle. This creature looks like a snake crossed with a piranha and given far too many teeth. Its teeth are so long that they can't fit inside its mouth. Instead, they curve outward and upward, creating a cage of death that's actually visible when its mouth is closed. The longest fang teeth are actually longer than the fish's entire head. How does it even eat without impaling itself? Well, its jaw can unhinge, and its skull has special hinges that allow its mouth to swing open nearly 180 degrees, creating a gaping maw that can engulf prey almost as large as itself. Like many deep-sea predators, the viperfish is also covered in photophores, bioluminescent organs that dot its body like alien city lights. But these aren't just for show. Some scientists believe viperfish can use these lights to communicate with each other, to attract prey, or even to confuse predators. In the deep sea, bioluminescence is the language that everyone speaks. It's currency, communication, and camouflage all at once. Now here's something that's going to sound counterintuitive. These deep sea fish are actually quite small. The viperfish maxes out at about 30 centimeters, roughly the length of a ruler. The anglerfish we talked about, despite being terrifying, is only about the size of a dinner plate. This is unusual because there's a principle in biology called Bergmann's rule, which suggests that animals in colder environments tend to be larger than their warm water relatives. Larger bodies retain heat better and have lower metabolic rates per unit of mass. But in the deep sea, Bergmann's rule takes a back seat to the ultimate constraint: food scarcity. Down here, the primary source of food is marine snow, a constant drizzle of dead material, feces, and decaying organisms falling from the sunlit waters above. It's not much. In fact, it's barely anything at all. So most deep-sea fish have evolved to be small and energy efficient, with slow metabolisms that allow them to survive for weeks or even months between meals. Their terrifying appearances, those huge jaws, those long teeth, those expandable stomachs, are all adaptations that allow them to make the absolute most of any feeding opportunity that comes along. Let's go deeper. Past 4,000 meters, we enter the abyss-opelagic zone, the abyssal zone. The pressure here exceeds 400 atmospheres. The temperature is just a few degrees above freezing, and the amount of food filtering down from above has diminished to almost nothing. This is where we encounter creatures that have taken the concept of nightmare fuel to a whole new level. Meet the fang-toothed fish. This thing has the largest teeth relative to body size of any fish in the ocean. Its teeth are so comically, horrifyingly huge that it literally cannot close its mouth completely. Evolution has actually created special sockets on either side of its brain where the longest teeth slide into when it closes its jaw, because otherwise those fangs would pierce through the top of its skull. Let me repeat that. This fish has to have special holes in its head to accommodate its own teeth, or it would stab itself in the brain. The fang tooth is only about 6 inches long, but those teeth make it look like something that should be much, much larger. And that's actually the point. In the deep sea, looking dangerous is just as important as being dangerous. When everything is starving and desperate, appearing like you could do serious damage might be the difference between being attacked and being left alone. Then there's the barrel-eye fish, and this is where deep-sea creatures stop just being scary and start being genuinely alien. The barrel-eye has a transparent head. I'm serious, a completely transparent dome filled with fluid, and inside this crystal-clear shield, you can see its tubular eyes, which are bright green and pointing upward, scanning the water above for the silhouettes of prey. For decades, scientists thought these fish could only look up, which seemed like a massive design flaw. But then in 2004, researchers at the Monterey Bay Aquarium Research Institute managed to observe living barrelies in their natural habitat using remotely operated vehicles. They discovered something incredible. The fish can actually rotate its eyes forward inside its transparent head. When it spots potential prey above, it swims up beneath it, then rotates those tubular eyes forward to focus on the target as it attacks. The transparent head protects those sensitive eyes from the stinging cells of jellyfish, which make up a large part of its diet. This is evolution being weird and wonderful and terrifying all at once. The barely isn't trying to scare anything, it's just trying to see and eat in an environment where both of those activities are incredibly challenging. But the result is a fish with a see-through skull and glowing green eyes. And honestly, if I saw that swimming toward me in the dark, I'd probably have a heart attack. Here's what's fascinating about all these creatures. They're demonstrating a principle called convergent evolution. That's when completely unrelated organisms independently evolve similar features because they're solving the same environmental problems. Think about how bats, birds, and pterosaurs all evolved wings despite coming from completely different ancestral lineages. They all needed to fly, so they all developed similar solutions. In the deep sea, convergent evolution is creating a toolkit of terror. Bioluminescence. Nearly every deep sea creature has it. Huge eyes or specialized light detecting organs. Absolutely essential. Massive jaws with long teeth. Standard equipment. Expandable stomachs. You better believe it. Black or dark red coloration to absorb what little light exists. Everyone's wearing it. The deep sea is sculpting its inhabitants into similar forms because the challenges down there are so extreme and so specific that there are only so many ways to effectively deal with them. But wait, we're not done descending. Let's go to the very deepest parts of the ocean, the Hadal Zone, encompassing the ocean trenches from 6,000 meters all the way down to the Mariana Trench at 11,000 meters below the surface. The pressure here is over 1,000 times atmospheric pressure. If you weren't in a protective vessel, you'd be crushed into a paste instantly. The water is barely above freezing. The darkness is absolute and eternal. And yet, life persists. Down here, we find creatures that have dispensed with looking scary because there's simply no evolutionary advantage to it anymore. When you're at the absolute bottom of the ocean, you're not trying to intimidate anything. You're just trying to survive. The Hadal snailfish holds the record for the deepest living fish ever recorded, filmed at a depth of 8,178 meters in the Mariana Trench. And you know what? It doesn't look scary at all. It looks almost cute. It's pale pink, kind of translucent with a bulbous head and small eyes. It looks like a tadpole made of jelly. There are no fangs, no bioluminescent lures, no transparent skull. Just a small, soft-bodied fish that's perfectly adapted to withstand crushing pressures that would destroy almost any other vertebrate. How does it survive down there? Its bones are poorly mineralized and flexible, almost cartilaginous, which makes them less likely to crack under pressure. Its body contains special molecules called piezolites that stabilize proteins under extreme pressure. And perhaps most importantly, it's given up on the predator-prey arms race that defines life in the zones above. Down here, the snailfish feeds on amphipods, small crustaceans, and doesn't need to look intimidating because everything down here is too busy trying not to die to waste energy on unnecessary displays. This is our third major lesson. The scariness of deep-sea creatures peaks at mid-depths and actually decreases as you approach the very bottom. The twilight and midnight zones are where the predator-prey dynamics are most intense, where hunting in near darkness requires the most extreme adaptations, where every encounter could be your last meal, or you could be the last meal. But in the Hadal Zone, life becomes more about endurance than aggression. Let's talk about another fascinating pattern, the color of deep-sea creatures. You've probably noticed that almost everything I've described is either black or dark red. There's a very good reason for this. In the deep sea, the only light is bioluminescence, and most bioluminescence is blue or blue-green. That's because blue light travels farther through water than other wavelengths. So if you're a prey animal trying not to be seen, being dark blue or black makes you essentially invisible. You're absorbing all that blue light instead of reflecting it back to predators. But here's the clever trick. Some deep-sea predators are bright red. Why would you want to be red in an environment where the only light is blue? Well, here's the thing. Red appears black under blue light. Red fish look black to other creatures using bioluminescence. But some of these red fish have evolved a special adaptation. They have bioluminescent organs that produce red light, not blue light. This is incredibly rare in the deep sea. The stoplight loosejaw fish is the master of this technique. It's a fierce predator with massive jaws that can swing open to 90 degrees. But more importantly, it has bioluminescent organs beneath its eyes that produce red light. It's essentially hunting with night vision goggles that its prey can't see, while other fish are lighting up the ocean with blue light, essentially announcing their presence to everything around them. The stoplight loosejaw is illuminating its prey with a red spotlight that only it can see. It's like having an infrared laser sight on a rifle. The prey has no idea it's been targeted until those jaws snap shut. This is evolution being absolutely brilliant. The deep sea isn't just creating scary-looking creatures randomly. It's creating hunters with sophisticated technologies that would make military engineers jealous. Now let's address something important. Why do we find these creatures so disturbing? Part of it is certainly their objective appearance. Those teeth, those eyes, those translucent bodies. But there's something deeper going on here too. Humans have spent our entire evolutionary history above water. our brains are wired to understand terrestrial threats. We know what a predator looks like on land: forward-facing eyes for depth perception, powerful limbs for chasing prey, sharp teeth or claws for subduing it. When we see a lion or a bear or a wolf, we understand what we're looking at, even if we're scared. But deep-sea creatures play by completely different rules. They've evolved in an environment so alien to us that they might as well be from another planet. Their adaptations make sense in their context, but when we see them through human eyes, our brains go, nope, that's wrong. That's not how bodies should work. The anglerfish with its parasite males, the viperfish with its cage of teeth, the barrel-eye with its transparent head, these violate our deep-seated expectations about how animals should be structured. There's also something profoundly unsettling about the darkness they come from. The deep sea represents the unknown in its purest form. We can't go there easily. We can't survive there without massive technological assistance. It's a reminder that most of our planet is completely hostile to human life. And the creatures that do thrive, they're utterly unlike us. But here's what I think is the most important thing to understand about deep-sea creatures. They're not scary because they're monsters. They're scary because they're perfect. Every feature that makes them nightmare fuel is a solution to a problem. Those enormous teeth, they ensure that when you finally catch something in an environment where meals are separated by weeks or months, it's not getting away. Those huge eyes, they're gathering every photon in a world where light is more precious than gold. That bioluminescent lure, it's advertising in a marketplace with no other billboards. That transparent head, it's protecting vital organs while maintaining visibility. Deep-sea creatures have been sculpted by millions of years of evolution in the harshest environment on Earth. The pressure that would crush us, the darkness that would blind us, the cold that would freeze us, the starvation that would kill us. They've adapted to all of it. They're not monsters, they're masterpieces. And here's the really wild part. We've barely scratched the surface. Remember how I said we've explored less than 5% of the deep ocean? That means there are creatures down there we haven't even discovered yet. Creatures that might be even more bizarre, even more alien, even more perfectly adapted to their extreme environment. Every year, deep-sea expeditions discover dozens of new species. In 2023, scientists exploring the Clarion-Clipperton Zone in the Pacific Ocean identified over 5,000 new species in just one region. 5,000. And they estimate there might be tens of thousands more waiting to be found. What other adaptations are lurking in the abyss? What other solutions has evolution devised for the problems of life in total darkness under crushing pressure? We don't know. We can't know until we go there and look. The deep sea is the largest habitat on Earth, covering about 60% of our planet's surface. It's the last great frontier of exploration, and it's right here on our own world. We don't need to travel to other planets to find alien life. We just need to descend into the ocean with better technology and more funding. There's something poetic about that. We spend billions sending rovers to Mars and probes to distant moons, searching for any sign of life in the universe. And yet, right beneath the waves, in the deepest parts of our own ocean, life has evolved into forms so strange and wonderful and terrifying that they challenge our very understanding of what's possible. The scariness of deep-sea creatures isn't a bug, it's a feature. It's a testament to the power of evolution to shape life into whatever form necessary for survival. It's a reminder that nature doesn't care about our aesthetic preferences or our comfort zones. Nature cares about solving problems, and in the deep sea, the solutions just happen to look like something from our worst nightmares, full in their own way. Beautiful in their perfect adaptation, beautiful in their strangeness, beautiful because they exist at all, thriving in conditions that seem impossible, proving that life will find a way no matter how extreme the environment. So the next time you see a picture of an anglerfish or a viperfish or a barrel-eye and feel that instinctive shudder of horror, try to see past the nightmare fuel. Try to see the engineering marvel. Try to see the triumph of life in the face of crushing pressure and eternal darkness. Because that's what's really down there in the deep sea. Not monsters, but survivors. Not demons, but cousins. Not aliens from another world, but fellow earthlings who happen to call the abyss home. And somewhere in the deepest, darkest parts of the ocean we haven't yet explored, something even more incredible is swimming through the black water, perfectly adapted to its world, waiting for the day when we're finally capable of reaching it and understanding just how far evolution can push the boundaries of what we think is possible. The deep sea keeps its secrets well, but one by one we're learning them, and every new discovery makes us realize just how little we truly know about our own planet, and just how much wonder, and yes, terror, still waits in the darkness below.